Let's revise the topics: subject and predicate, the phrase, the clause, the sentence. What is a sentence? Sentence is a group of words and expresses a complete meaning. So a group of words that expresses a complete meaning is known as a sentence. We know it as a sentence, a group of words and that also expresses a complete meaning. Only then we can say that it is a sentence. For example, if we say Gorika writes good poems. So what is the subject here? Gorika. Who is the subject? Gorika. The cow is a domestic animal. About whom we are talking? The cow. So about whom we talk, that becomes the subject of a sentence. What is the subject? The subject of a sentence is simply what or whom the sentence is about. About what or whom the sentence is, that is known as a subject. About whom we talk, that is known as a subject. Okay? Kindly note, it usually comes before the predicate. It usually comes before the predicate, but it can come after the predicate also. Subject is always a noun or a pronoun. It may be singular, it may be plural, it may consist of just one word, it may consist of a group of words. So all in all, subject means about what or whom we are talking in the sentence. That is known as a subject. About whom or what we talk, that is a subject in a sentence. Let's do some practice. Complete the following sentences by using appropriate subjects. So you have to fill up a subject for the given sentences. Just like the one I have done here for you. Sat under the tree. So who sat under the tree? The old man. Okay. Now tell. Dash sang a beautiful song. You have to fill a subject here. Who sang a beautiful song? You can say Yashita sang a beautiful song. Yashita sang a beautiful song. Dash is a democratic country. India is a democratic country. Dash started in the morning. We started in the morning. Dash can speak French. I can speak French. Dash lives abroad. My uncle lives abroad. So in this way, you have to simply fill up the subjects to the given sentences. Kindly note, sometimes sentences give command, request or order and it looks as if they don't contain a subject. But there is a subject there, but you cannot find it. Is invisible. For example, if you say come in please, the subject over here is invisible. It is not visible to you. Come in please. To whom I am saying? You come in please. Sit down. Subject is not visible here. To whom I am saying? You sit down. So, sometimes in a sentence, you may not get the subject in the written portion. You have to think for it, whether it is a command, request, advice or order. So, just think of it and write. Open the gate. You open the gate. Okay. Thank you. I thank you. Please maintain silence. You maintain silence. Sorry. Who's sorry? I. So sometimes subject may not be visible. It is invisible. So you have to read the sentence carefully and then mention the subject in the given sentence. So the next topic is predicate. What is a predicate? The predicate is the part of a sentence. It is a part of a sentence that makes a statement about the subject. It makes a statement about the subject. Or you can say a predicate is that we say about a subject in a sentence. What we are talking about the subject, that is known as a predicate. About whom we talk, that was the subject. And what we are talking about the subject becomes your predicate. The main part of the predicate is the verb. Kindly make note. The main part of the predicate is the verb. It must have a verb. A predicate must have a verb. What is a verb? It is a doing word or an action word, you can say. A predicate may consist of one word or a group of words. It can have one word also. It can have group of words. The predicate usually comes after the subject. The predicate usually comes after the subject and tells something about the subject. So predicate tells you about the subject and it usually comes after the subject. So subject is about whom we are talking, and what we are talking about the subject becomes your predicate. For example, see here, if you say Rishabh collects reptiles. So Rishabh collects reptiles. So in this sentence, subject is Rishabh. Rishabh is your subject. Collects reptiles is the predicate. And what is the verb here? Collects. It is the action word. This is your verb. Sometimes the predicate is simply a verb by itself. Sometimes predicate itself is a verb. Only one sentence, just see. The young man sneezed. The young man sneezed. So it's only one word here. And this is a predicate. And it is a verb too. Predicate is simply a verb by itself. The sun shines. So the sun shines. The sun is your subject and shines becomes your predicate. I think the concept is clear. Let's do the practice for this predicate. Complete the sentence by using appropriate predicate. You have to fill predicate here in the given sentence. A swarm of bees. Fill it up. A swarm of bees was buzzing around the flowers. You can say this thing. You can add the predicate. Was buzzing around the flowers. The funny movie gave the little girl happiness. The blue whale dove to the bottom of the ocean. He went to the market. The little child laughed. The bird sang a song. Ananya and her friends raced to school. So in this way, by adding some more words along with the verb, there should be a verb. So that becomes a predicate, and once you add a predicate to the subject, it gives you a full meaning and it becomes a sentence there. So you do this thing and let me know in the comment box. The next topic is phrase. What is a phrase? A phrase is a group of words that make sense but not complete sense. It makes some sense but not the complete sense. That is known as a phrase. Phrase can be changed into a sentence by adding another set of meaningful words. If you add some other set of meaningful word, it becomes a sentence then. But it should have a verb also. A phrase should have a verb. So we can say that a phrase is group of words. If no subject-verb combination is there, it is not a phrase. Alone, it has no meaning. If used in a sentence, it has a unique meaning. So you will not get the subject-verb combination in a phrase. It is a group of words. Alone, it has no meaning. But if you add some sentence, a proper words to it, it becomes a good sentence. It has its own meaning then. For example, if you say a beautiful girl, it is a phrase. So you have to add some words to it along with the verb to make it into a proper sentence. So you can say, I saw a beautiful girl. This becomes a sentence now because subject is I and saw is verb. So a phrase is a group of words that make sense but not complete sense. You can change it into a sentence by adding another set of meaningful words. But the words which you are adding should have a verb. In a phrase itself, it will not have a verb. Are you getting my point? But when you are adding some meaningful words to it, make sure that it should have a subject and a verb combination. Clause is a group of words that includes a subject and a verb. What is a clause? It is a group of words that includes a subject and a verb. Group of words, subject verb combination, and it has a complete meaning by itself. What three things you will get in a clause? It is a group of words, it will have a subject verb combination, and it is a complete meaning by itself. And that too only in the independent clause, not in the dependent clause. I'll let you know further, don't worry. So kindly note, if any one subject or verb is missing, then it is not at all a clause. It becomes a phrase. If subject is not there or a verb is not there, then that cannot be a clause. It is a phrase. For example, see here, if you write the sentence, I feel wonderful. So subject is I, feel becomes your verb, and wonderful. So this gives you a complete meaning. It is a clause. She plays badminton daily. She becomes your subject, plays become your verb, right? So clause is a group of words that includes a subject and a verb, and without it you cannot say that that sentence is a clause. It is compulsory for this clause to have a subject and a verb. But clauses is a part of a last sentence. Make sure clause is a part of a last sentence and depends on the other part of a sentence. That is a dependent clause. Dependent clause actually depends on the independent clause. Dependent clause depend on the independent clause to make a complete sense. So, all in all, clause is a group of words that includes a subject and a verb. So, clause can be further divided into three types. I'll let you know further. Now, see here. Since I came to Rampur, I have not once played Kho-Kho. So, since I came to Rampur, I have not played Kho-Kho. So, this is your independent clause. And the first part, since I came to Rampur, is dependent clause because this sentence depends on the second part. Okay. A subject and predicate, subject verb combination, and it may depend on the other part of sentence or can stand by itself. We can say that that sentence is a clause. For example, a simple sentence is an independent clause. A simple sentence is an independent clause. So, this is your independent clause. This sentence itself, what I have written, it is actually conveying you the full meaning. It is an independent clause. Okay, you are not going to pass the test. Sentence is your dependent clause. And unless you start working much harder. This depends on the first part. You are not going to pass the test. This is your independent. And it depends on you start working much harder. So, in this way, you will get two types of clauses. Dependent clause and independent clause. So, what I said, there are two types of clauses. Independent clause or dependent clause. Independent clause is also known as principal clause, or you can also call it as a main clause. It is not dependent on anything and gives a complete idea or a complete thought. Independent clause does not depend on anything. It gives a complete idea. It is a simple sentence. Right now, I told you that independent clause is a complete sentence. It is a simple sentence. For example, I never give up. So, I is the subject here. Never give up is your predicate. Siddhi left the class. Siddhi is the subject, right? Left the class is your predicate. In here you can get the verb left. I feel giddy. Subject is I. Feel becomes your verb, right? Giddy. So, the thing is, an independent clause should have a verb in it. It should have a subject and a predicate. It should give you a complete meaning. It should not depend on any other part. So that part of a sentence which has a subject of its own, it has a verb and a predicate and gives a full meaning. That is known as an independent clause. You can also call it as a principal clause, or you can also call it as a main clause. It is actually a simple sentence. Dependent clause. Dependent clause is also known as subordinate clause. Dependent clause depends on the other part of the sentence. Other part is principal clause, the main clause which I told you right now. So dependent clause depends on the other part of the sentence, that is your independent clause. It starts with the subordinating conjunctions. So dependent clause starts with the subordinating conjunctions, and these are all your subordinating conjunctions. If, where, wherever, though, even, if, when, as, since, still, after, because, while, so much, so that, as soon as, whether, which, lest, in order that, nevertheless, unless, as much as, then, in case, whose, what, until, till, who, how, why, then, etc. These are all your subordinating conjunctions, and your dependent clause, also known as subordinate clause, starts with the subordinating conjunction. Okay. Dependent clause does not make a complete sense. Is it clear? It does not make a complete sense because it depends on the independent clause to complete its meaning. For example, see here. If you help me, I will help you. So I will help you is your principal clause, main clause or independent clause. But this part, if you help me, now see, first of all, this is your subordinating conjunction. This is your subordinating conjunction. It depends. You start with it, and this part depends on this part. Okay. So it is starting with subordinating conjunction. If you help me, I will help you. So this is your main clause and this is your dependent clause. You must wait here. This is your principal clause. Yeah, independent clause you can say. Until I get back. It is starting with the subordinating conjunction. So dependent clause depends on the independent clause and it starts with the subordinating conjunctions. So kindly go through all the subordinating conjunctions which I mentioned here. Let's practice some sentences for the subordinate clause and the principal clause. Underline the principal clause and circle the dependent. You have to underline the principal clause and circle the dependent clause. Okay. In the following sentences. He did his homework and went to bed. Is the sentence conveying you the full meaning? Yes. So it is your principal clause. You can also call it independent clause. Okay. So you have to underline the independent clause or the principal clause. Do you know the girl who won the badminton tournament? Now, do you know the girl? This becomes your principal clause. You have to underline it. You have underlined it. And then you have to circle the dependent clause. So, who won the badminton? First of all, see. It is starting with the subordinating conjunction. Won the badminton. So, this is your dependent clause. Okay, you have to circle it. Is it clear? Although she studied hard for the English test, she got less marks. So she got less mark is your principal and it is starting with subordinating conjunction. So this is your dependent clause. Okay. This is your dependent clause. Are you getting it? So you can very easily find it out. If it is starting with it, your dependent clause will start with subordinating conjunction only. Okay. Now here are a few sentences for you. Just go through it and leave the answer in the comment box. Let me know whether you are able to do it or not. Just follow the rule the way I have told you. Just follow the rule. I think everybody is clear with the term sentence. What is a sentence? It is a group of words that expresses a complete meaning, which gives a complete meaning. It should have a verb, right? It should have a subject and it should have a predicate. So a group of words that expresses a complete meaning is known as a sentence. Suppose, for example, if you say the children are playing football, this conveys you the full meaning. It is a complete sentence. Will you join the music class? It is a complete sentence. What a delicious food. It is a complete sentence. Don't pluck flowers. It is a complete sentence. So a group of words that expresses a complete meaning is known as a sentence. There are 4 kinds of sentences. Declarative sentence, which is also known as assertive sentence or a statement. Sentences that state something, that tell something or declare something is known as a declarative sentence. It ends with a full stop. If you say, my name is Ali, so you are stating, you are saying something, put a full stop. Sia can dance very well. Put a full stop there because it is stating something, it is telling something. So, group of word which states something or tells something or declares something is known as declarative sentence. Imperative sentences, they tell something to do something. They command, they give order or they request. It ends with a full stop. Please complete your homework for tomorrow. It's a request. You can see the term. Please always obey the traffic rule. It is advising you. Don't shout. It's giving order. So the sentences which gives commands or requests or advice, they are known as imperative sentence. They also ends with a full stop. Interrogative sentences, they ask a question. They are in and ends with a question mark. It ends with a question mark. Where do you live? It's inquiring. It's interrogative sentence. Put a question mark at the end. Has a team won the match? You are inquiring. Put a question mark there. So interrogative sentences, they ask a question. So we have to put a question mark at the end of a sentence. And the fourth one is exclamation mark. It shows that the speaker feels strongly about something. It expresses your feeling. It ends with an exclamation mark. It ends with the exclamation mark. Okay. So for example, see here. We have won the race. So it's showing the strong feeling. So you put an exclamation mark at the end. They are here at last. Put an exclamation mark. That's wonderful. Put an exclamation mark. So it shows strong feeling that the speaker wants to express his or her strong feeling about something. That type of sentences are known as exclamatory sentences. Let's practice some sentences. Different types of sentences here are in front of you. Write the type of each sentence against it. You have to simply write the name. It's amazing. What kind of a sentence this is? It is an exclamatory sentence because you can see the exclamation mark at the end. She does not know me. It is your assertive sentence. Open your books now. It is your imperative sentence. So you just simply mention it here. It is imperative to write imperative. Okay? If it is your exclamatory, just mention exclamatory. Is it not red? Question mark. Interrogative sentence. So here are few sentences for you. Just go through it and leave your answers in the comment box. Okay? I think it is now easy for you all to do the exercises. Go ahead and do the best.